Welcome back for this session. That is Module 3, Fundamental and Technical Analysis. This is the most important concept of this subject, that is Fundamental Analysis and Technical Analysis. Okay. So the first question comes in your mind when you are analyzing the securities, when you are investing in the securities, you are going to follow these steps: analyzing fundamentally and technical analysis. So the third chapter is more of how to analyze the security fundamentally and technically. So when you understand what do you mean by fundamental analysis, and what do you mean by technical analysis, then definitely you can answer which is important. See, but at the outset, okay, we can't say either one is important, because both the things are very rational, okay, scientific steps to analyze the security. That means, I mean to say, both fundamental analysis and technical analysis you need to take up. Yes, fundamental analysis, it takes some long time, whereas technical analysis will be consuming very less time. Okay, and it is easy when compared to fundamental analysis, hence everyone will follow technical analysis. But as a teacher, as a investor, so it is from my side, both fundamental analysis and technical analysis both uh, matters a lot. Then you can have a steady growth rate, and also you can have good profit if you follow both fundamental analysis and technical analysis. Now step by step we'll understand. First we'll go with the fundamental analysis, then later on technical analysis, which is very easy and very interesting. Okay, we can guess, we can forecast from technical analysis, but fundamental analysis will understand the intrinsic value of that particular script or a stock. Okay, so now our job is to understand what is fundamental analysis. Okay, so we shall understand this. The question comes, how to do fundamental analysis? How to do this fundamental analysis? So we're going to learn now, right? So the first thing is, right, fundamental analysis basically means studying intrinsic value, exact value of the that particular security. Fundamental analysis is, okay. So we follow some approach. Now we have to concentrate more, because we are going to learn the practicality, right? So normally basically everyone go with the emotional decisions, but I'm teaching you the rational scientific reason or the steps involved in analyzing the security when you are going to invest in the stock market. Is it clear? Our understanding? So I am going to teach now what is fundamental analysis, right? So basically it means what? Intrinsic value. To know about the intrinsic value of that particular stock. Okay, so still in detail we can understand this. We call it as a top down approach of fundamental analysis, starting with the first is economic analysis. The first step is economic analysis, then we'll understand the industry analysis, then we are going to analyze the company as an individual, right? So at the we call it as a top down approach. It is a broader sense, that is economic of that particular country or a nation. We are going to understand what is the economy of that particular nation. Then if we are choosing any company script, we are going to understand the industry as a whole. That is called as the second step, that is industry. And the last one is in specific that particular company. See, we'll take one example. I'll ask this question to Ganesh. Which is your favorite company? Infosys. He said Infosys. correct? So now if I ask Ganesh to invest that amount, literally he will go emotionally, he will invest in Infosys. That is, we call it as an emotional decision. So before we invest, we have to go top down approach, that is fundamental analysis. First we have to understand what is economy of the country as a whole. Okay, then Infosys, as he said, Infosys belongs to IT industry. Then IT industry as a whole you need to understand. Okay, then come to a company, that is Infosys. We call this as a top down approach. Okay, so this is the procedure and this is the scientific method to understand before you invest in any company. Is it clear? So now, sir, what we need to understand as economy, what we should understand as an industry, we'll study step by step. Then we'll go for a company. So in company, what we need to see, how we need to analyze. So we're going to study all the three steps. Ready? Shall we go? So fundamental analysis basically involves top-down approach, starting from economy as a whole, second industry, a third one is company. You should never forget, and we call it as EIC method. What is that? E stands for economy, I stands for, then the C stands for come. So now we'll understand what are the factors we need to understand we before investing in any of the nation. See, by sitting at this classroom, you can invest in any part of this country. You can also invest in US companies. You can invest in Sri Lankan company. You can invest in any country companies for your kind information. It is possible. So when you are changing the nation, of course, India, you have that love, affection, respect. So you feel economy is good. Definitely, economy of the country is good. So there is no doubt for the people of India, they can invest blindly, believe the economy of India because it's now stable when compared to any other. Of course, they are not so good when compared to the developed countries like US, UK, all those things. But also very, very far better when any of the many countries which are struggling during this war also. But we are somewhat having a relaxed breath because of the strong economy what we have. We should be proud first. So still market is at stable, in inflation rate is also stable. Yeah, there is a caution of word from our honorable prime minister, but still our economy is stable because it is taken care by all the experts, economists of the country. We are safe. Okay, there may be in some coming days there will be ups and down in the economy of the country, but definitely we can rely on the government and the economists, all the experts what we have at our country, and they are taking care, right? And also, as you're coming out, maybe next year, you will be seeing the good phase of the economy. So expected is recession. Okay, expert says there will be a recession, but it will be recovered soon. That is what the economists of the country, the present situation, because of the war, they are saying. I hope you are seeing all the news. Okay, so you should watch news, understand, and it is indirectly it is going to affect you as an individual for your jobs also. Okay, and for your investment. Okay, and it is going to happen, but yes, negative side is also there of our government, especially in Karnataka government. Lot of things are happening. Somewhere war is happening, and somewhere there is a fight because of the seat it is going on. I think it is solved. I hope it should be solved soon, and they start working towards the development of the economy instead of just fighting towards the seat. So no matter what, who is a CM? CM means Chief Minister. It is also called as common man who works for the state. That should be there. Correct? And yeah, no problem. So in between we are there. We are understanding the economic, but overall at the outset, yes, we have a strong economy. Okay, hence we can find out the foreign direct investment. So hence the market is moving up, even though it is a war is going on. Right? Let us understand. So the common analyzed macro factors of the economy before you invest. Okay, right? We should understand and analyze all this, the macro factors. Okay, common analyzed economical macro factors are, so one is gross domestic product, that is GDP. Okay, I think you might studied in all this terminologies in your economics. So from PUC you studied, I guess PUC also. Yes, Varshini, correct? Studied, and also in your degree, and also first semester of the MBA. Correct? Who taught you this? Deepak sir. Okay, safe. GDP, then savings and investments. So what is this? Who can tell the gross domestic product? You know what is the present last 5 years? I have put some data for you. I'll show you. India's GDP growth rate in the past 5 years. Okay. So in 2020-21 there is a negative. Can you tell why? Pandemic. And then there is a steady growth rate on the GDP. Okay, and also now it is 24-25, it is a little low, right? So 9%, 7.2%, 9.2%, it is steady, I can say. And now can anyone say what is GDP? This is the present data of last past 5 years. The total value of goods and services produced and consumed in that financial year. Correct? Okay. So I don't want to go much about that, but this is your things where you need to understand all those things before you invest in any nation. Okay. Savings and investment. Why the savings and investment should be higher side or lesser side? Savings and investment. How can anyone explain why savings and investment help nation? So when you save, what you do? You invest. When you invest, the company will take your investment, they do business, they'll give back your, correct? So nation needs businessman. Nation needs who saves, right? So spending, yes, nation needs the people who should spend, but also save. It's a diplomacy, correct? One side ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ರಿ ಅಂತನೂ ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸೈಡ್ ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ. When you save and invest, what happens? The nation grows. So uh, when you buy the any company shares, what do? You invest in that. So company also takes your investment and do business, and it grows as a society grows. Yes, inflation. So always inflation in any of the economy should be steady. That means it should not be too low, and even it should not be too high. There should be a very steady growth in inflation also. That is also should be. Okay, I hope you know what is inflation. Then interest rate, tax structure, and the balance of payment. What do you mean by the balance of payment? Amount of inputs with amounts of export. So when exports are more, then we say positive balance of payment. When there is more of imports when compared to export, then we say negative balance of payment. What is good for any economy of a nation? Balance of payment, export should be equal to import. This is the ideal one. But in India, so we import more. So when we import more, then we will be dependent on the other currencies. That's why our honorable Prime Minister said to use our Swadeshi goods products. So stop buying all uh, foreign companies products. That is what is called as correct. So instead of that, we can buy the products which are manufactured by Indian companies. So buying iPhone, indirectly you give support for to rise US dollar. Are understanding? So you may not understand when you buy, but indirectly you are increasing the value of US dollar. So if you buy gold also, why sir? Because we import gold. ಇವಾಗ ಬೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ? ಇಂಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. Yeah. What is foreign direct investment? What is the meaning of this? Foreign people will investing in our, it should go up always. Foreign direct investment should go up. That is good for a nation. When foreign people will come and invest in our nation, when there is a stable government and without corruption. So these are the factors you need to understand economic wise. And continuation, investment by foreign institutional investors, international economic condition, business cycle and investor psychology, monsoon and agriculture, infrastructure facility, demographic factors, budget and fiscal deficit. So physical deficit. All these the factors we need to analyze when we study economic factors. Okay, these are the factors. There are about 14 factors. Yet remember, okay, and exam questions. What do you mean by fundamental analysis? ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Then starting with economy, then industry, then company. Overall 10 marks question. Very, very important. Inflation rate of India. It's a last 5 years inflation rate. Okay, now we shall understand industries. First, please read out in your mind the different types of industry. Exhaustive list I have put, okay, where you need to choose the companies from this one of the industry, then you need to invest. So, read for your own sake. Remember, I think I have put around 14 to 15 industries, okay, starting with agriculture industry, manufacturing industry. So agriculture industry, in that you have farming, dairy, poultry, horticulture. So automobile, textile, cement, steel, electronic belongs to manufacturing industry. So you should able to understand, you should remember this in interviews. It may help you. IT industry, banking and financial services industry, pharmaceutical, pharmaceutical industry, FMCG industry, fast moving consumer goods, telecommunication industry, healthcare industry, education industry, tourism and hospitality industry, real estate industry, energy industry, infrastructure industry, retail industry. Now just recall one company from each industry. So these are some of the different types of industry. 14 I have mentioned. There are more than this. 20 plus industries. Okay. So I have just put 14 different industry. Now in each industry you can find out one company. Then that is the portfolio. Very, very simple. How this is how you need to, you know, uh, you divide your amount. 14 industries I have mentioned. Right. So one more concept you should understand, that is industry life cycle. I hope you know this, already learned. It has 4 product life cycle, but we call it as an industry life cycle. Okay, because you need to understand where that particular industry which you are going to sell it belongs to. See, any industry cycle, life cycle consists of 4 stages, starting with introduction, or it is also called as pioneer. Okay, starting stage, infant stage, introduction. Then second is growth. There will be a very good growth in this stage, our understanding. Then there is maturity. So growth stagnates, then it start declining. So when you're investing in any company, you need to analyze that particular company of that particular industry belongs to what stage of industry life cycle. Every industry or every product will be having a this cycle. Again it starts, goes down, again there will be some invention, changes in the product, then again it will start growing. So you being an entrepreneur, you should know how to put some extra thing where it changes your cycle, life cycle of that product or a business. Okay, so one thing, while analyzing fundamentally, you should know different types of industries and also the industry life cycle belongs to which. And the last topic of industry, that is Potter's 5 force model. You should know this concept. Okay, this concept will help you to understand more about that particular industry. So you being the entrepreneur or the investor, before getting into any business or before getting investment in any of the industry or a company, you should analyze this, that is Potter's 5 force model. So what does it tells? Threat, the first one, the threat of substitution. Is there any substitution? So if there is a substitution, then there is a threat of decrease in the sales of the market. What is the meaning of threat of substitution? ಅದರ ಬದಲು ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ, ಸೊ ಆಲ್ಟರ್ನೇಟಿವ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗೋ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಥ್ರೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್, ಥ್ರೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ನ್ಯೂ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್? ಆ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊಸ ಹೊಸ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್ ಬರೋ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ರೆಡಿ, then only you can survive for your business. When you are starting your own business or the company which you select, you should see, is there any this threat of new entry, so that that particular company should not come down. Are understanding? So now you, as an investor, you are studying. Then also you should understand as an entrepreneur. ನಾಳೆ business start ಮಾಡುವಾಗ you should go through with all these things. Each and every day you need to understand this. Then only you can sustain in the market. Otherwise, you will be thrown out of the market if you are not changing yourself. The change management, you should know how to do that. Okay? If you keep quiet, then competition will heat it up. Then competitive rivalry. That is what is the competition presents in that particular industry. Competition ಇರಬೇಕಾ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು. ಸೊ ಎಂಡ್ ಯೂಸರ್ಸಿಗೆ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಎಂಡ್ ಯೂಸರ್ಸಿಗೆ ಲಾಭ. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮೋನೋಪಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮೋನೋಪಲಿ ಆದರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅವರು ಕೇಳುವಂತ ದುಡ್ಡು ನೀವು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಗುಡ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಟಿವ್ rivalry. This is useful for the end users, that is customers. As a owner, you should face this. That is also important. Supplier power, the power of the supplier. So when you are a manufacturing industry, okay, so depends what is the raw materials, whether it is available, whether you are getting a competitive rates or not. If you are not getting a competitive rates, then your cost will go up, your price will also go up. Very, very simple. To maximize, you being a owner of a company, you will maximize. Try to get at the least cost so that you can have the competitive price. Okay. And the last one is buyer power. There should not be less number of buyers for your products. Correct? They should be having a more number of buyers. Then you can do good business. So you need to analyze as an investor for this part. Okay, you are analyzing at this point from the point of investor of that particular company. Are understanding? So the five points. The first one is threat of new entry, threat of substitution, competitiveness in that industry, supplier power, and buyer power. These 5 points. So while doing industry analysis, you'll be understanding, finding the industries in a given list of industries available. Then you're going to analyze the life cycle of that industry. Then you're going to analyze the Potter's 5 model theory. You're going to apply this model in which you are investing. And this is the procedure of fundamental analysis. Is it clear? Our understanding? So we started with what?